2016, the National Park Service celebrates 100 years. Since the start, with Yellowstone, Americans have demonstrated a love and appreciation for the bounty, diversity, and fragility of our lands. As the Park Department moves forward, it has developed a call to action. This call has 4 key components: connecting people to parks, advancing the National Park Service education mission, preserving America's special places, and enhancing professional and organizational excellence. Heeding this call, Elizabeth Redmond set out of her home in Indianapolis, north to the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore to discover and share the life of Dunes activist Dorothy Buell.
What is an unsung hero? It is a person who is not that well known to the world, but who has accomplished great things. Dorothy Buell is my unsung hero. Dorothy was born in 1889 in Menasha, Wisconsin. She grew up near Lake Michigan, making beautiful memories of the dunes. Little did she know that her beloved dunes were at risk of being destroyed and lost to development and factories. As a young woman, Dorothy became part of the Prairie Club. This club came up with the slogan, "Save the Dunes." The Prairie Club helped turn the dunes into a state park in 1926. Future members of the Save the Dunes Council had fathers and mothers who were part of this movement before World War I. But sadly, the Prairie Club only made a small dent into the problem. They never truly saved the dunes because in the 1930s and 1940s, a new enemy came into the brewing battle: steel mills. Steel mills wanted the dunes so they could do 2 things: have a place to dump industrial waste and have a landmass that people don't really care about so they could build more mills in the future. In 1952, Dorothy was living with her husband in a pretty house in Ogden Dunes, Indiana on the lakeshore. Their house was surrounded by the sands of the dunes and the beauty of the lake. She had raised her children there, and they were now grown, and she was what was known as a housewife. She spent her days taking care of her home and being part of a ladies' club that volunteered in the community and celebrated arts.
What did you think at first of Dorothy Buell's idea to save the dunes?
Well, I was all in favor of it because my family, my father, was part of the Save the Dunes movement before World War I.
In the state park?
Well, that came later. The first effort to establish a national park in the Indiana Dunes was before World War I, which was put at about 1914, 15, 16, somewhere in that area. And my father was part of that movement. He was a member of the Prairie Club, which was the organization which coined the term Save the Dunes.
Dorothy gathered a group of women, starting with her ladies' club, who had heard about plans to build over the dunes. Together, they wanted to do something to preserve the natural beauty of the dunes. But what could some housewives do?
Dorothy Buell had started the Save the Dunes Council. My aunt said, "Oh, how lucky you are. Once she gets a hold of a project, she never lets go." And it was a good thing because you had to be optimistic because almost everybody, was against us. And so it took somebody who would stick with it to head the Save the Dunes Council.
Let's start the meeting.
Recap. What am I here for?
We're here to talk about the dunes. Don't you remember?
Are people think we have parks?
Not just any parks, the dunes.
That can't happen. That happens. What are we going to do?
I don't know, but it's like they're kicking me out of my own home in Ogden Dunes.
Do you know how many lots they bought? From my research, many.
We need to start a club that will help protect the dunes. We shouldn't have men. We need to show that we can do this ourselves.
What will our name be? How about Save the Dunes Organization?
Perfect. We will call it the Save the Dunes Organization.
You can say it better than I can, but if you suggested to Dorothy a good idea, she said, great, you're now the chairman. So she knew how to delegate. That's what you told me when you said about the poor issue.
Yeah. You see, our opposition was steel mills and the political structure in Porter County in Indiana wanted a port and industrialization. Their objective was to industrialize the entire Lake Michigan shoreline, including getting rid of the state park as part of the industrial objective.
Finally got more people to join. As this group got bigger, they went from tea time meetings to protests. The protests soon got the eye of Senator Douglas. Senator Douglas encouraged men to join the club. Because of this, protests got stronger. One of their protests was to gather signatures of people who believed in the dunes. They got more than they needed.
So, now, this is important as far as Dorothy Buell is concerned. So Dorothy Buell went to the various senators and governors and congressmen and said, here's this beautiful area, it's unspoiled, there's no industry there now. Don't you think it would be a good idea to save this as part of a park, either expanding the state park or a national park?
I can't believe it might be a national park.
These people talked and argued with the judge for a long time, but the thing that really made it a national park was the paintings. The paintings were of the Indiana dunes.
Let's make it a national park.
Thank you.
When I passed in 1966, I remember attending the board meeting where we discussed whether we should disband Save the Dunes because we'd done our job. Then we decided probably not a good idea. And then the first thing we found out in 1967 that we had opposition and that just having a bill passed is a piece of paper. You then have to have the money and the staff to make it a reality. So the next several years were fraught. Getting money, getting support, and especially with the congressman from Porter County at that time was a port supporter, not a park supporter. Committee that makes determined. She testified before both of them on saving the dunes.
Wow.
And so this was before '66. And you know that women just didn't, housewives, just didn't do things like that. I think even when I would lobby in that first time in 66 and then in 67. You didn't see too many women, housewives, ordinary women going and lobbying. That was very unusual. Now it's not, which is, I think, on the whole, mostly a good thing, right? But it was a different time.
Dorothy Buell's heroic actions helped save a national treasure. Her tenacious spirit and dedication serve as an inspiration for future activists.
Yes, Charlotte, you truly did it.
Dorothy's activism began in 1949, and over the next 20 years, she founded and guided the Save the Dunes Council. While they faced both victory and bitter defeats, Buell is remembered for not only inspiring others, but empowering them to collaborate against overwhelming odds. As we reflect upon her journey, ask yourself, how can you engage with others to be good stewards of our parks?